What's up? This is Brandon Murphy from Counterparts, I think. You're listening to Solace TV. Thanks for checking me out.
What's up, guys? Kyle from Solace Music TV here. I'm here with Brendan Murphy from Counterparts.
Welcome to London. There's bugs.
Bugs everywhere.
They're fucking everywhere.
So we're
Whatever.
So we're here on the only Canadian date of the Common Vision Tour in London, Ontario.
Beautiful.
You guys just played. How is it?
It was great. It was awesome. I was worried. I'm always worried playing Canada. I feel like people have this weird, not necessarily hatred, but people don't really back us as much as they used to. I mean, serves us right because all we did was release release albums after Profits. But whatever. I mean, you can't hold us to that. But no, in all honesty, it was amazing. It was perfect. I couldn't have asked for a better show. It was sick. Fuck yeah.
Is playing more shows in Canada something you guys want to do?
We do. The only thing is I mean, people have to imagine we're a Canadian band, so obviously we want to tour Canada as much as possible. But the only thing is, when you look at the markets you can play in Canada compared to the U.S., there's so, in Canada, I feel like right now you can maybe make you could do a good Canadian tour in 2 weeks. In America, you can be gone for 2 months and still not hit everywhere that is sick, right? So it's it's not a bad thing, but I feel like it takes a bit more time and a bit more prep than America, if that makes any sense, because when we do tours in America, we can announce a show a week beforehand and have it be cool. But I feel like in Canada, you really need to sort of drive the fact that there's something going on. But obviously, we love playing Canada. Tonight was amazing. Last time we played Canada, I'm pretty sure was a house show in Hamilton. We played our friend Loden's basement, and equally as cool. It was crazy. Yeah, shout out to Rarity. Yeah, but and it was it was sick. But I feel like just where we're at right now, we're fairly busy to begin with. So not that Canada's on the bottom of the priorities list, but it's definitely when it comes down to touring the world and stuff like that, we try and fit it in. But if not, I don't know.
So speaking of Canada, we have such a good local scene going on right now in Southern Ontario specifically. So any bands you want to shout out that are doing well?
I'll always shout out bands like Rarity and stuff like that. Just pretty much any band that is seemingly they understand that they understand the work involved, that what it takes to sort of not leave Canada, but you know what I mean. I feel like everybody in this in the industry is their goal is to sort of go from being this local band to start in international tours and stuff like that. And there's so many bands doing it. You've got like Rarity's doing well. You've got Seaway, that's they were just on Warped Tour and they killed it. Dirty Nil, there's so many bands from Ontario that are doing well that I feel like if I list any of them, I know I just did, but I feel like if I really delve into detail, I'm going to end up forgetting them. Just sort of pay attention, pay attention to your local scene, because realistically, if you're not one of those people that will travel for shows, your local scene's kind of all you've got, you know what I mean? If that makes sense. But no, it definitely, there was absolutely sort of a lull in the Ontario scene for a minute, and it's very cool to see, and I hear about it all the time, local shows doing 200-300 kids at them. It's this is sick. This reminds me of 2005 when I used to go to shows like that. And that's what it was like. But I don't know. The best advice I can give is just without having to name a bunch of bands and ending up forgetting a whole bunch. Just pay attention to your local scene. Go to shows. Especially if they're $5-10. It's what else are you gonna spend that money on? You know what I mean? Maybe when I was growing up, I was I didn't really have a lot to blow my money on, so I had no problem going to shows. And I get that money's a bit of it can be tight for some people, but just go to shows, man. Just go to shows, support the bands. If your local scene deteriorates, it'll definitely take a lot to sort of build it back up. So, you know, just don't let it get to that point, I guess, is the point that I'm trying to make. Because we've been there, you know, we started playing shows at the time when the scene was in a decline. So it was rough for us to try and, like, dig ourselves back out. But I don't know, we're here now, we had fun. People seemingly still give a shit about our band. I don't know why, but it's cool, you know, it's definitely cool.
So you guys recently signed to Pure Noise Records and dropped your album Tragedy Will Find Us. Yep. So what has that done for your band so far, changing labels over from Victory Records? Like, has that opened any new doors for you, helped?
Definitely. There's like, I mean, just the fact that we can, you know, we have so much more freedom to do whatever we want, and I mean, within reason. I'm not going to say that Pure Noise sort of just, you know, gives us a credit card number and lets us do our shit, but you know, they let us do our thing. They don't argue with every aspect of our band. They don't try and, you know, push anything on us. It's a very relaxed atmosphere that I love it. You know, we're all very, very happy to be part of Pure Noise and New Damage in Canada. And it's you know, it's just cool. It's so much cooler being on a label that's run by someone you consider a friend than someone that you don't consider at all. You know, if that makes sense. You know, we're happy to be out and you know, in the grand scheme of things, I definitely think that changing labels is sort of like a new start for the band. You know, I don't think that we're the same band that we were when we were on Victory, and I feel like there's a lot of progression in the band that staying on Victory would have kept us in this like weird stranglehold that they had. But whatever. Not to say that Victory's not a cool label. I mean, if that's what you're looking for, go for it. You know, I have no negative. You know, I don't want to come off as, you know, ungrateful for what Victory did for us. They did a lot, but where we're at right now is just infinitely better. We're in a way better spot. You know, it's perfect. You know, the labels that we're on are there. It's like run by people like us, so it works a hell of a lot better than, you know, being run by people that don't really give a you know. I don't know. I don't want to delve too much into it. I don't want to bring anybody down watching this, but just let it be known that we're definitely happier being on, you know, labels like Pure Noise and New Damage as opposed to Victory. So here we are.
So with the new album, I feel like your sound has progressed more towards like the metalcore side of things. So like with this tour, like you're on tour with Every Time I Die, like Brigades, Gatherers, like it's a mixed bill lineup. I know you guys like mixed bills.
Love it. I absolutely love it.
When you like wrote this album, was it like just something you wanted to write, or is it like, hey, if we write something like this, we can get on like more diverse tours?
With us, it's always every album that we write personally. It's always what we want to write. You know, we've never been sitting around and been like, oh, if we gear more towards like the pop world, or like, you know, or like, you know, if we sort of get out of the weird hardcore world and move towards the metalcore world, we'll do better as a band. We've always just been about what we want to write, and I think that for whatever reason, this record is what we wanted to do. And yeah, I mean, I definitely like, you know, when a lot of people have drawn comparisons to the early, like, you know, the Trust Kill records, the Ferret record era of metalcore, and like, you know, that's like what we know, you know what I mean? Like that is what we grew up with more, you know, like our world was Poison the Well and Misery Signals and Every Time I Die, and, you know, and like It Dies Today, all that stuff. So, you know, so especially being compared to those bands with this new record is definitely like, it's a huge compliment, and we're very, very happy. Yeah. So, I mean, it's with us, like, you know, we're not necessarily concerned about, you know, how many more record sales we can have or how much more money we can make. We've always been a band that cares more about, well, we're going to do whatever the hell we want, and if people are into it, sick, and if no one cares, who gives a shit, you know? And I feel like that's worked for us this far, so we might as well keep it up. And, you know, like, what do we have to lose, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great mindset to have.
Yeah, and I feel like if you're out there and you're legitimately, you know, aside from the pop world where you can make millions and millions of dollars, I mean, like, yeah, that's pretty sick. But, you know, if you're in a smaller subgenre like we are, and you're trying to, you know, sort of like morph your sound into this weird sort of, yeah, I don't know. Like you're basically like you're writing records for people that aren't you. That's that's all well and good, but then at the very least you're left with this record that you don't really give a shit about. Which, to me, that if we're spending money on this record, I want it to completely represent where we are as a band. And if other bands don't want to do that, let them do it. That's their thing. Like they can deal with that when it happens. But for us, since day one, we've never let anybody else make our decisions for us. We've never written, like, we never wrote records for anybody other than us. And the fact that people care, that's perfect. But I don't know. I feel like there's too much of that going on in like the metalcore, or like the world that we're in. There's so much behind the scenes shit. Like we just want to write music that we think is cool, and if other people like it, come along for the fucking ride with us. And if you don't, sorry, there's tons of other bands that you can listen to that are probably better than us in every way. So go for it. Give them your money.
Word.
Whatever.
So what's your most favorite song on the new album?
I definitely like Choke. That's one of my favorite songs on the record. I'm trying to think, like, lyrically, we have a song that we recorded that we actually didn't even include on the record called Monument. That is probably my favorite song lyrically that I've ever written. But like you'll hear it eventually. I don't know when, but you'll hear it. But in terms of like, I love Collapse. I feel like that song especially sort of it just showcases everything that we're like, I guess that we're good at, like all the strong parts of our band in one song versus like, that was really cool, and then they went into some weird ass breakdown for 30 seconds like we used to do. But definitely, songs like Choke and they're very personal to me. Solace is another big one. But there you go. Shout out to all things Solace, whether it's a song or whoever's interviewing me at the moment. It's all good. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to tell. I'm mostly just like, I'm very happy with this record. I think it's the best representation of our band right now. 2 years from now, it might not be. We might look back on it and be like, what the fuck were we thinking? This is terrible. But I hope not. We'll see.
When you're writing lyrics, how do you go like from being like cryptic to being like more like something that everyone can understand from reading it like once? Yeah. Like, how do you go between that?
I feel like just given like where we are as a band and like how many times I've actually had to sit down and write lyrics and stuff like that with the fact that we're on album number 4 and all that stuff. It's just like I don't know. I feel like they're basically, the way I try and do it is that there's a time and a place to be sort of maybe not cryptic, but maybe to be more vague, to let other people sort of take their to make their own interpretations about the songs. But there's definitely parts in our songs where I'm just like, I don't care if anyone can relate to this part. Like this is me getting something off of my chest, and I'm going to do it. With especially with songs like Choke and all the Stranger and all those songs. I don't know. I feel like I do a decent job at keeping a healthy balance between the two. But I don't know. It's not something that I ever consciously think about. Like okay, to be fair, there are definitely times when if I write a line, I'm just like, that's too fucking weird. I can't go with that. No one's gonna know what I'm talking about. But I like to keep a nice mix of the two at the very least. Just so I can satisfy myself as a writer and as someone who needs to I guess gather his thoughts into a more of a broad sort of, I don't know, message, if you want to call it. But no, definitely there's times when I just need to say fuck it and just go after who I'm after in the songs, But whatever, I think I do okay. I don't know if I'm boring. I'm sorry. I don't know. But
other than your own personal experiences, are there any other like inspirations for your lyric writing?
Honestly, there's not much I feel like every song that I've ever written has been about a specific, time, place, thing, just something that I've actually experienced. There's never been a time where I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna like watch this movie and write a song about it, or or I'm gonna like sort of, take notes from another song I like and make it into my own thing. It's really always just been about like, Counterparts as a whole. I think, when it comes to lyrics, it's mostly about just dealing with the shit that life throws at you, and that's all I know, as a human being, is how to cope with bullshit that is terrible. So, yeah.
How does it feel when people say like that your lyrics actually help them like through tough shit in life?
It's amazing, like the fact that people care enough about our band to like actually, like to listen to it that much, and to also just, to even just delve into the lyrics I write and try and make your own assessment, and and make your own story about, or just find anything that you can relate to. That's the coolest shit in the world. Like the fact that people care that much is so cool. That's one thing I'm never gonna get used to. It's crazy, man. I don't know. Like there's no other word for it than that. When people tell me, even tonight, like people have said, that our music helps them and keeps them happy and stuff. And it's just like, that's sort of what turns us into like, it's like it's a hobby for so long, and now there's people that literally, they care about our band so much. It's like that's the payment, and I always say this. It's like, that's what makes me want to do this. It's not money, because I don't have any. I'm broke as shit. So it's stuff like that makes me sort of take a step back and go, fuck. Like I'm doing something pretty cool, and I'm happy about it.
So to conclude the interview, can you tell us like anything that's happening in the fall? Give hints, any places you're going?
You already know what we're doing in the fall, but I don't know if I can say it yet. We are doing another North American tour. It's definitely with some heavy bands, some mosh bands. So yeah, I don't know. After this tour, we're home for a month, then we're going to Europe. We're doing our first European headliner with Senses Fail and Capsize, which would be amazing. I love both those bands so much. So it's going to be a great run. And then, yeah, just keep checking the Facebook. I don't want to be the guy that says too much, but we're definitely going to be on a heavier tour, and we're going to be pretty much, we're going to have to change our set list up and play some fucking bangers on that one. We're gonna have to include the Mosh Warrior anthems on that shit for sure. Because if we don't, then we're gonna get a lot of fucking. Sorry, we're gonna get a lot of that. So we'll see. But we're around. We're always around. Like whether it's fuck it. If you're on Ontario and you want to see us that bad, just find out where we practice. Just come watch a practice or some shit. But yeah, We'll be around. I promise. I promise you guys that for sure.
All right. Thank you so much for the
problem.
time.
Thank you for having me.